Welcome back. Summer is winding down and your garden is probably starting to look a little sad. So it's time to put it to bed. Carson's here with tips on how to do it right and get it all ready for winter. Hey, Carson.
Hello, my dear. How are you?
I am well. How are you doing?
Well, I'm hanging out in my garden, so life is good. But as you can see, my plants, not so happy right now. But Tracy, did you know that at this time of year, it's almost as important as spring when it comes to taking care of your vegetables?
See, I did not know that. So what you do now is probably going to determine how good your garden is going to look next year. Am I right?
Exactly. I like to tell people that this stage is sort of like the cleanse as part of a diet. And we all know what that's like.
Absolutely. So it might hurt a little bit, but it's going to work and do the trick?
Exactly, and it's a reset for your plants. So, for example, tomato plants, as you can see, they're looking a little bad right now. Everybody's harvesting these beautiful, luscious fruits. But what happens is tomatoes do two things that are very bad for your soil, for your vegetables. First of all, they're the hungriest plants. They suck up all the nutrients out of the garden. They are little piggies. They eat all the good stuff. The second thing that happens with tomatoes that you may not realize is when the fruit falls off, it actually rots down in the soil. And when it rots, I'm going to open this up, all these beautiful seeds actually germinate, which means they're going to be in the soil for next year. Every time I have tomato plants, I get weeds coming up that I think are weeds, and they're little baby tomato plants. So there's a few things that you can do to reset your garden. And I'm going to show you over here. The first thing you want to do, though, is make a plan to move your tomato plants. Rotating your tomato plants around the garden is so absolutely important to allow the soil to rebuild all of the nutrients. A few things, though, that you can do to help feed the soil. And we're not talking about fertilizers. Fertilizers in the fall, they don't do anything for plants that only really last 1 year. Instead, what you want to do is add amendments to the soil. Now, I'm going to pick this up and show it to you. Oh, it's a heavy one. This is what I like to use. This is composted chicken poop. Yay, and I'm not even using gloves. This is straight out of my chicken coop, straight manure. Smells fantastic. Can't even describe it to you. This is fantastic in the garden because what it does is it adds fiber. Kind of like that cleanse we were talking about, right? Here's the fiber that adds nutrients and adds moisture into the soil, which is going to help you out. Now, a lot of people don't have chicken poop lying around, I hope. So instead, they use garden compost. This is garden compost. Looks a lot like chicken poop. Same thing. Fiber. This is all the stuff that broke down from my vegetable plants that I've been saving all year long. This does the exact same thing. Adds nutrients to the soil, but most importantly, adds moisture retention. It's a really good thing to add in around your tomato plants. And finally, what I like to do is add a little bit of this stuff. This is just plain wood shavings. You can get this at a local pet store, at a co-op, a farmer store. This adds, again, more moisture retention. Everything is about keeping those roots hydrated all season long. But there's one other step that most people don't think about that I love to do personally. I like to sterilize my soil. Now, when it comes to sterilizing soil, I like to put down a tarp. Yeah, a tarp on top of the soil. And what happens is with the tarp actually bakes in the sun. So the tarp goes over top of the soil, the sun bakes it, it heats the soil down below. Technically, it cooks all the seeds, so the seeds won't germinate next year. When you're gonna do this, you can do this in a raised bed, you can do it in a flat vegetable garden, it doesn't matter. It works really, really well, but it also is that reset we were talking about. Now, if you're gonna do a tarp, make sure it's a dark colored tarp. If you go white tarp, it doesn't work because the white reflects the heat. You basically insulate all the weed seeds and then they come back next year. So I like to put a tarp on my garden bed for about 3 months. So this is the perfect time to do it. Once you've taken out all the vegetables, put the tarp down, cover the bed, pin it in with rocks so it actually sterilizes the soil. After the tarp comes off, whether you leave it on for the winter, early next spring, or you take it off this year, you have to re-amend the soil. That's where that chicken poop and the garden compost comes in because they help put the healthy bacteria back into the garden.
Great tips as always. Thank you, Carson. And remember, you can find all this information on our website if you need a refresher because